Fair use. Elder Lawya, we're going to have the pagans tell us about Easter. The pagans who were in place during the same time as Christ, okay?
Yes, sir.
Fair use. Tell me if you can hear this, Elder Lawya.
The pagan celebration Ostara. In this video, we cover what it is and how to celebrate. Stick around to the end for our power tip of 4 herbs you can use to incorporate into your Ostara workings.
Fair use.
Hello, I'm Max Raven.
And I'm Cassandra Raven. Together we have over 30 years experience in the occult, witchcraft and magic.
We share insight, knowledge, advice, and lifestyle tips to make your magic go further and add potency to your work. The pagan celebration Ostara falls on the spring equinox. Ostara was the virgin goddess of spring and dawn in ancient Germany. It is for her this Sabbath is named. Ostara was also celebrated in Greek, Roman, and Nordic cultures in pre-Christian times.
Some forms of Easter celebration adopted by Christianity originate with Ostara. For example, Easter eggs. There's little evidence to suggest the Easter bunny or hare was associated with the goddess Ostara. However, magically speaking, eggs are symbols of rebirth, potential, and the increase of sunlight in spring. Old Germanic customs included the Easter hare, visiting homes, bringing gifts of eggs, candy, and toys to good children the night before celebrations, rather like Santa Claus.
How do you celebrate Ostara? You can dye or paint eggs to decorate your home or altar. You can include colour and symbology on these. If you have children, set up an Easter egg hunt with them. You can also leave some painted eggs with positive messages and blessings on them in the woods for people to find.
You can perform a ritual to celebrate the beginning of spring. Include painted eggs and spring flowers on your altar and an offering of bread, mead or honey. You can also plant seeds, it's a great time for that, and do some spring cleaning of course. Any ritual that relates to new beginnings and new starts is ideal at this time of year. Coming up is our power tip of 4 herbs you can use in your workings during Ostara. If you enjoy our videos, be sure to subscribe and click the bell for notifications.
Interesting, isn't it? Let me turn this over to Lawya real quick. Elder Lawya, that was interesting, right?
Very interesting.
You notice her and this guy mentioned nothing of Christ. A matter of fact, she was saying, stay tuned for the next 4 herbs we can give you on the rituals you can do for Ostara.
Right.
So what we're showing, brothers and sisters, here is this is the real Easter, unbeknownst to Christians. Now imagine if this witch and her simp, whoever that dude, that simp man she got sitting next to her. Imagine them joining your Christian church. Unassuming. In their craft. Because we don't vet anyone. Imagine this witch and that man she had sitting next to her. Imagine they become your school teachers. Your principals. Imagine that. Now, Elder Lawya, hold on to your seat because I'm going in. Fair use. How do they get there? How does witches get access to our youth to turn them away from God? Well, usually demons who are really fearful spirits prey on the weak and fearful. They wait for a point of trauma to come in to empower damaged people into becoming witches. How do you know this? Well, don't take my word for it. Fair use. How do they get new witches?
There are as many ways to be a witch as there are witches, but one thorough line that runs through the history and the present of magical practice is that magic is a practice for the oppressed. It's a practice of people who have been rejected, cast off, or marginalized by society.
So she just outright stated all of the labels that's put on us. If you've been marginalized, rejected, witchcraft is the religion of choice to help you through such trauma. And it's deep because you have a brother who would run into this sister and believe it's all good. Pretty woman, right? I'm going to tell you right now. And this woman will get you somewhere, and there'll be a pentagram under the bed with your name under it. Okay, with a candle. Okay? With your relatives, and don't get them mad because your relatives will be tore up right around all that, and she'll strike it on fire. These are the type people that are raising our children away from the Bible. And guess what? You can find her online celebrating Easter too.
There are as many ways to be a witch as there are witches, but one thorough line that runs through the history and the present of magical practice is that magic is a practice for the oppressed. It's a practice of people who have been rejected, cast off, or marginalized by society.
Fair use.
As a Black woman, trauma has touched so many parts of my life. I first started to deepen my practice when I was coming out of an especially traumatic situation. In the aftermath of trauma, especially this really intimate trauma, you kind of feel like your whole world has exploded, that you don't have a way for understanding who you are or how you relate to the world around you. So,
hey folks, don't let this innocent voice fool you. This girl is dangerous. Why do you think they was against King James, folks? These were the people they were sending in our communities and all that during the Dark Ages, Rome, to try to infiltrate and turn our children from God. This is why King James, he was doing what? He was burning witches at the stake. It was the European evil Roman Empire converting our women and others who were orphans and trying to send them into the community to turn us away from God. This woman is dangerous.
So my magical practice, my witchcraft, was a way of reorganizing the world around me, re-understanding who I was and how I could exist in the world. When I was kind of in the deepest pits of depression and struggling with anxiety, even though I knew that the right thing to do would be to get out of bed and take a shower, I just didn't feel like I deserved those things. But by giving myself a ritual, that transformed into, I have to get up and take a shower because there is a part of me that is holy, and that holy part deserves to be taken care of. So while talk therapy was very helpful to me, it was actually magic and ritualistic practice that helped me get to my therapist's office in the first place. Whether it's acute trauma or if it's the kind of trauma that exists when you exist in a body that society doesn't accept or doesn't value. I've found witchcraft very helpful because it's a practice that really centers my personal...
Elder Lawya. So witchcraft, and this ties right into my theme, spiritual warfare of the academy, folks.
Mm-hmm.
So witchcraft is the craft of choice when you are struggling with the acceptance of how God made your body. When you're struggling with who you are, believing that you should be someone else. All due respect. This is crazy. Crazy people. Crazy people. But guess what? They'll be your school teachers. They'll be your nurses. They'll join your church. They'll turn your church out. Because why? You've let them in. Why? They're familiar with you. You practice the same holy days they practice. And the witches and warlocks have power over those who are dealing with their religion, paganism, on the lowest level. That's the power of invocation and authority amongst witches and warlocks. If you are a Christian who follow paganism, you by default are their servants. You are their servants. They don't care how much knowledge or education you have, because you don't worship on those days or those gods or goddesses on the level they do. So automatically it transfers from out of the religious realm into the secular realm, where they become your bosses. They become your controllers. Okay? They become the benefactors over your programs in your community. Because why? You're worshiping their gods. And this is how it translates to the political arena, where now you got all of these other people over our community, because the Christian pastors didn't tell you the rules of engagement when it comes to spiritual warfare. You can't be a Christian pastor and celebrate paganism and not be servants to their high sorcerers and or witches. You must denounce all of paganism, including Sunday worship, Christmas, Easter, or you're still a slave bonded to witches like we see here on the screen. And Elder Lawyer, you notice that it's very rare you'll hear about a Satanist attacking Islam, Hindu, or Egyptology or any other pagan religion. You very rarely hear a Satanist or witch come against any of those religions. Why? Because they're all the same at the surface. There's a familiar place, which is Babylon, in which they all come from. Yet I digress. Elder Lawyer, hold on to your seat. And I purposely, Elder Lawyer, I purposely do not go over any of these things with you, needing your spontaneous reaction. Fair use. A whole nother level of paganism here. And what are we looking at? Fair use. Hold up, Lawyer. Let me put it so you can hear it, because you can't hear it at all, right?
No, sir.
Okay, this is fair use. This is a trance witch, Elder Lawyer. Something that you probably was never familiar with. A trance witch, right here, live and direct. Trance witch, fair use. Fair use, trance witch.
What's up, everyone? It's me, Virgo, and welcome back to my channel. How is everyone doing? What's the latest tea? I mean, we already know. It's your favorite transgender witch here, Goth.
I mean, obviously.
And I just wanted to come on and make a quick video giving my advice on how to get started as a witch in very simple steps and really the basics. Because a lot of times, you know, especially when I was beginning, I feel like you tend to feel really lost. And sometimes there's really cloudy information out there. And I'm here to give it to you straight and from experience. And, you know, I was a beginner not that long ago, so it's still fresh, honey. It's still fresh. You know, I'm just providing a few easy steps, a few things that are very important to the core development of a witch when she or he is beginning. I also find that a lot of times witches, when they first start out, will jump really quick into large spells that honestly require quite a lot of mental build-up and experience to handle and properly see through, you know? All spell work is a responsibility that you're agreeing to. First step that I'm going to suggest. Number one, I'm going to suggest that you connect with nature. Connect.
That you heard a lawyer. I know you didn't hear this, but it says the first thing we suggest is that you connect with nature. You hear all these witches say the same thing, right?
Connect with nature, huh?
That's the first thing. Hey, Elder Lawyer, he has bullet points. He has witch one-on-one on how to first link in as a new witch who might be confused out there on how to come into the craft, right? So we got the witches on one side celebrating Easter. Now, I was able to pull up this guy or whatever because he has an Easter special too that I don't even want to deal with. I don't think it's right what he's delving into. So I'm leaving it there. But I'm showing you where it all intertwines into the craft being what? Practiced outright by the progressive witches and warlocks, including trans witches. Now, how do they infiltrate? Now, one thing all of them have in common, Elder Lawyer, is all of them hate the Bible. But Elder Lawyer, I would like to settle on this witch in particular. And I'm not being condescending. She's a self-proclaimed witch. Elder Lawyer, she mentioned that no place in the Bible condemns witchcraft. Let's hear it again while you grab those scriptures, Elder Lawyer.
Do not continue to be...
Hold up. I want Elder Lawyer to hear it real quick. Now, these are the people pushing the craft and holidays and all that in our community, destroying our children, separating us from God, pagans.
Do not continue to be confused and think that the Bible condemns witchcraft. It does not. The Bible warns against practicing bad magic, hateful magic, bringing harm to others, killing others, poisoning others. The Bible does not condemn witchcraft as we know it, which is a healing protocol.
Let's stop right there.
And a methodology.
A methodology. There she go with the word solid. There she go with the word solid. Elder Lawyer, the Bible does not condemn witchcraft. All right. Let's get some scriptures real quick.
Yes, sir.
Hold up. A matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up so that we all can see. Because either they go to church and lie on the Bible altogether to make the Bible fit their practices, or do what she is doing right now, outright deception. She's claiming the Bible doesn't condemn witchcraft, Elder Lawyer, and let's pull up the Bible.
Yes, sir.
Hold on. I need to get this thing. Let's pull up the Bible, right? Chapter and verse out of the Bible, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. I'm going to run them off. Exodus 22 and 18.
Hold, let me read it. Because I pulled it up so it's right before us. This is for you Christians out there who've been deceived under witches and warlocks celebrating Easter. Exodus what?
22 and 18.
22 and 18. Let's read it.
Exodus 22 and 18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. According to the Old Testament, before grace came, witches were what? If they were caught practicing according to the Bible, that was a capital punishment for that. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, because why? Usually a part of the craft is targeting children. They won't tell you that because it's your children they're coming after. And Christ protects children. You notice no sooner as they said, let's do this and let's be more inclusive and all these other things, and started passing these laws and throwing all types of money towards the lifestyles of alternative lifestyles. It wasn't too long before they was talking about changing the curricula for children, grade school children, not toddlers, but early grade school children, to actually teach them that it's okay to choose other lifestyles or learn about sex and all these things. This is why Christ, the Bible in general, Christ is the word. It's stated in the Old Testament, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, because it's not about practicing for self-healing like that woman was claiming. It's about spreading that madness and eventually convincing children into the craft. There's something more. Let's go, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, so I'm going to jump over to Deuteronomy 18. And before we do, on Exodus 22 and 16, I want you all to just ask yourselves this question, because you said that it's a specific type of witch that's being referred to. I'm going to read this again slowly, and I want you all to identify whether this is talking about a good witch or a bad witch.
18.
Exodus 22 and 18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. What kind of witch is this talking about?
It's not talking about no good, no bad witch. It's witch in general.
Exactly. Exactly. The Bible makes no difference between a so-called good witch and a bad witch.
Exactly.
They're all bad according to the Bible.
Now imagine if they put one of these witches as an authority in your public schools and they make her a principal. Why do you think our children are rebelling in school and they acting out and going off? Okay. What do you think is going on in those schools, folks, in those public schools, when they're allowing people like Black Lives Matter and all these other people and incentivizing these people to become the authority and teachers and nurturers over children? And children are rebelling. There's a lot going on, folks, that we need to wake up and understand. And the reason why witches have infiltrated Christianity. And I'm showing you that witch in particular who's saying the Bible don't say nothing against witches. So she's seeking validation amongst Christian circles. And she probably have validation amongst them because Christians don't read the Bible. More, Elder Lawyer, Deuteronomy.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy 18. All right. I'm going to start at verse number 9. As Deep, you mentioned this. Usually when we go to Deuteronomy 18, we go to the prophecy pertaining to Christ. Now, before going into Christ, it actually points out and you mentioned earlier that the patriarch or the man that they are against is Christ. Now, before it actually goes into Christ, it's going to point out all of the different practices that would drive you away from Christ. So I'm going to start here in the book of Deuteronomy 18 and 9, and I'm going to read it down to 15. It says, when thou art come to the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer.
Hold on, Lawyer. We need to cue this up. Because it says in the 18th verse, when we left Egypt, before we inhabit the land of Canaan, the Most High gave us law and said, there shall not be found amongst any of our people that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, which is child sacrifice, like the Gentiles were doing, and still do, possibly allegedly, within certain secret society circles, or that use of divination, that's craft, divining, talking with spirits and all that, or an observer of times, using the craft for familiar spirits to actually predict the future and all that. All right. Telling people their future, talking about, I see something for you. I've seen everything that Christ and God said not to do. I've witnessed in the Christian church, where you have some witch in a church talking about she sees something in your future, or a sorcerer, a man there. I see prosperity coming for you. That's an observer of time. That's divination. Or an enchanter or a witch, right? Now I'm reading the Bible, Elder Lawya. I have to toss back real quick, because she stated this. She stated this.
Do not continue to be confused and think that the Bible condemns witchcraft. It does not. The Bible warns against practicing bad magic.
Lawya. Lawya. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.